Investors should be cautious about any and all stock recommendations and should consider the source of any advice on stock selection. Nothing in this broadcast is an offer to buy or sell any financial instrument, including but not exclusive to stocks, options, etc. This show is for entertainment purposes only. All investors are advised to conduct their own independent research into individual stocks before making a purchase decision. In addition, investors are advised, as always, that past stock performance is no guarantee of future price appreciation. So it is 12/6/17 Wednesday. Let's get started on the big show. So you guys know over the past couple of weeks, we've been doing some new features and things like that. Uh, the little cards on the bottom, just a whole lot of stuff we've been trying out. We've been testing parts, testing software, and things like that. So today, after we do the show, we're actually going to do a big upgrade. So you guys tune in tomorrow and let us know if you like the difference, if you think it's a good change, a bad change, whatever. But send in your opinions. So let's talk about the markets. Weird day today again. If you look at the Dow and you look at the S&P and the Nasdaq. Now the Nasdaq finally broke that losing streak. Facebook was just on fire today. If you're in Facebook, you had a really good day today. Of course, all the FANG stocks did very well. But that's kind of the conundrum on the market. You had this big push from the FANG stocks, but really the market ended up flat. So what was the rest of the market doing? We've talked about it before over the last few years. FANG stocks have been responsible for what, about 60, 70, some people estimate as high as 75% of the rally. When they're three-quarters of the rally and they're on fire, they are today, but the market doesn't go anywhere. It has to make you wonder what the other 25% is doing. So we think we've got it figured out as always, and we'll kind of share something with you in a second. But it was a weird day. Look, the Dow ended up down 40 points, but it's still holding that 24,000 level very, very well. The S&P, it's still holding over that 2,600. It's down about zero point 0.3, which is nothing. And the Nasdaq, like we said, broke that losing streak. The VIX lost about almost 3%. And that was the interesting conundrum we've been talking about the last few trading sessions. This morning, the markets were up at the open, and the VIX was up. So it was kind of weird, right? And then when the markets, so you expect maybe that the VIX was signaling that the markets were going to come down. Well, when the markets came down, the VIX came down with it. It doesn't make any sense. So what is the market telling us? Well, think about it. There's a lot of things on the horizon. There's jobs reports on Friday, Fed meetings, and the potential government shutdown. That's looming on the horizon also. So we'll see how this plays out, but we're looking to put in some hedges just in case, and we'll keep you updated on that. We'll probably do them tomorrow. Today, it wasn't the best day to set hedges, especially since we found a play that we liked and we got into that. So don't overtrade, be very systematic. That's the philosophy of what we're doing. But let's talk about that play we opened up today. So we opened up a play on ConocoPhillips, 5250 calls in January. And the reason we did was, you see, we've been talking about oil for the last couple of weeks, right? And we even made a bunch of money, right, on OIH and a couple things. So we cashed those in, and then we kind of sat on oil because there was news coming out, and we knew the U.S. Supply numbers, inventory numbers were coming out, and it turns out because of those supply numbers, everybody's worried that demand's waning. So oil went down about 3% today. So we really liked ConocoPhillips actually about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and we did not buy it because it wasn't exactly where we wanted it to be. But now with this little pullback in oil, let's see if we can make some money on this. And that's what we did. The symbol on that is COP, I believe. COP, yes. Okay, so let's talk about the rest of the market. I mean, obviously the FANG stocks did really well. Of course, the big story again today is Bitcoin. Let's go look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin made 12,000 yesterday. Remember? Well, guess what? Less than 24 hours later, it went up over 1,000 points. Look at that. Right now, it's up $1,500 per coin. So if you're in Bitcoin, congratulations. We're still not playing Bitcoin. We are going to wait for the contracts. Those will come out on Sunday night, and we'll start playing on Monday. And as always, we'll let you know what we're playing. But to all you Bitcoin holders, man, there's your chart right there. Look at that, man. That's beautiful. So it looks like it's pretty strong up there at 1300, 13,000. And so let's see how it plays out, you know. Uh, if you're in it, make sure you protect your profits. Or if you're one of those that believe that it's going to go to $1 million, I think it was somebody came out and predicted $1 million yesterday or something like that. Anyways, but we've been watching a ton of information on Bitcoin. With all the smart guys. What's his name? James Altucher, a couple other guys, and there's a consensus opinion, man, that Bitcoin is not going anywhere but up, man, over the next couple of years. So that's if you're not in it and you believe these guys, absolutely go in and said buy some. And the thing to remember about Bitcoin is you don't have to have $13,000 to buy Bitcoin. Bitcoin is broken up into smaller parts called satoshis, and that's of course named after the legendary inventor of Bitcoin or discoverer of Bitcoin. And there's 1 million satoshis in one Bitcoin, so you can actually trade partials, right? So if you guys aren't in it and you really like it, get into it, man. For those that have been following us and know that we went through all that issue because we're in Hawaii. First of all, we're in the U.S. Then on top of it, we're in Hawaii, and Coinbase and all them blocked out Hawaii. We were able to get a wallet on Kraken. So if any of the local people are watching and they're wondering where to get a wallet, um, or any of you out there are wondering, maybe you're having some difficulty with your region or something, we ended up getting one on Kraken. So they seem to be playing ball. But we still haven't bought. We'll wait for the contracts on Sunday night. And like as always, we'll keep you informed. So, really the news cycle today wasn't much. Trump designated Jerusalem the capital of Israel. That doesn't really play the market one way or the other. What he did do, though, this morning say is a government shutdown could happen. Mm, Trump is usually a straight shooting guy. One thing about him, like or hate what he says, he's generally very serious and very to the point. So he might know something, man. So we're gonna set some hedges, some small hedges tomorrow. We'll let you know what they are. Um, Everything else was just nonsense news, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. There was some small Flynn news, but it didn't really affect the market. And there's your big news. Bitcoin tops 13,000, less than 24 hours after topping 12,000. All you Bitcoin holders, congratulations, man. Good for all of you. Al Franken scheduled an announcement for tomorrow. There was another young lady that came out and accused him. I think that's 7 now. So Al Franken might be going the way of John Conyers, and of course, all the liberals are asking when's Trump going. Well, guess what? Somebody introduced impeachment proceedings today on the House, but unfortunately, it got voted down. Surprise, surprise. Uh, Here we go again with the more back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Of course, Warren Buffett made quick $230 million on a deal. So it was a pretty slow day, you know what I mean? And uh, the news cycle was more of the social crap than it was what affects the markets, and oil had a big pullback. That's because of what the build on the inventories, the U.S. inventories, and so that affected the overall price. Still holding like a champ over that 55, and as we speak, it's 55.98, so it's pushing that 56 again. The Brent stayed over 60 easily. So, like everything else, like even with the Bitcoin, even you Bitcoin players that are looking at some of the plays we make with the oil, nothing goes straight up. Even Bitcoin, you see, it goes up, sideways, up, came down, sideways, up, down, up, up. The trick is that every time it goes up more than it retraces back down. That's why people always tell you higher highs, higher lows. There you go. There's a little lesson today. Why do you always hear people saying that about charts? I'm looking for higher highs and higher lows. Why do you always hear one of the most common things when you hear technicians talk? I need the stock today to take out yesterday's intraday high. It's just the magic of charts. When you think about it, every time it goes up, you want it to go up higher, then it went low. And so you see, this is healthy. This is a little retrace here, but it stopped. But basically, it's healthy. It goes up, basis goes up. When it comes down, it doesn't go down too much. Of course, if we go back a year on Bitcoin, Bitcoin's a super volatile one, so it does. But if you look at a year chart, it's all higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. Now, the opposite would be, and maybe your trigger and your panic point at your Bitcoin hold would be when it starts making lower lows and lower highs. Okay, that means it's petering out and the selling's getting worse. Uh, if you try to picture that whole saying in your mind, lower lows, lower highs, what that means is less people are willing to buy it at the top and more people are willing to sell below the bottom. So that's a little lesson there for you today. But look, we're going to get started on all these upgrades and stuff. So, we're going to cut this little quick. Like I said, we're going to be doing some hedging tomorrow. So we'll let you know after the market. What we get into. We got into an oil play today, ConocoPhillips, and we're watching the market as usual. Still short the spiders. We did not cash in those spiders short because we don't want to uh, we don't want to cut that short trade short with all this stuff coming up on the weekend with Friday and the potential government shutdown and stuff. You've seen how these Congress people act. I mean, anything can happen. There's no guarantees. And the other thing was we're still short retail. Retail had a decent day today, but we're just going to sit on those for now. Um, any kind of a market push might help pull retail down. So if we're going to sit in the spider puts, we might as well hold on to the XRT puts. And the one that really did good today is, of course, we're in consumer staples. We've been in that for a while. Um, that was up another 35% today, those options. So, and those are the $57 calls. If you're watching XLP, you know that it hit 56.95 at the close today. Bam, right out of the money. Anyways, so hey, you guys have a great afternoon. Like I said, we're gonna do a bunch of upgrades over from now until we make the next show tomorrow. Hopefully everything goes well, goes smooth. It's a big upgrade. We're gonna incorporate some really serious software. Thank you to our office and thank you to Samuel for setting us up with all that stuff. And let's see how this goes. Other than that, just again, we're still in that cautious mode on the market. Stay cautious. Maybe on your trades, don't put as much in a trade as you usually do, and keep those stops tight. So we'll talk to you soon. Aloha.